Okay, hi everybody. It's still May 24th, 2021. I want to share with you some scriptures that God has given me many times since 2015, but really heavily starting in maybe late 2017 and all through 2018 and 2019 and up to now. These are scriptures that whereas God is speaking and he's talking about the judgment that's upon America. Okay, so it's just a couple scriptures. Okay, so I'm going to read Jeremiah chapter 19, and I'm going to read verse 15. Okay, so verse 15 says, "Thus saith the Lord of hosts, the God of Israel, Behold, I will bring upon this city and upon all her towns all the evil that I have pronounced against it, because they have hardened their necks, that they might not hear my words." Okay. All right. Next is Jeremiah chapter 21, verse 12. And it says, "O house of David, thus saith the Lord, execute judgment in the morning, and deliver him that is spoiled," meaning plundered, "deliver him out of the hand of the oppressor, lest my fury go out like fire and burn that none can quench it, because of the evil of your doings." Okay? And verse 14 says, "But I will punish you according to the fruit of your doings, saith the Lord. And I will kindle a fire in the forest thereof, and it shall devour all things round about it." God is not playing, okay? He is very angry at the wickedness that is being done by America. So, whatever country you see, if it says Israel, God is talking to America. Okay, the same word, the same judgment, the same condemnation is applicable against America. Okay, so Jeremiah chapter 22, it says, it's starting with verse 8, and then I'll read verse 9 and let me see, verse 13 as well. I'm going to go on. Jeremiah 22, starting with verse 8, it says, "And they, many nations, shall say, Why has the Lord done this unto this great city?" And verse 9 says, "Then they shall answer, Because they have forsaken the covenant of the Lord their God, and worshipped other gods, and served them." Do you hear this? Who does America serve as gods? America literally serves the devil, because the highest people in this land, whether you know it or not, the people who are politicians, the people who are businessmen, actors, actresses, not all of them, but there's a lot of people who are the highest people. They were the most powerful people in America. And some of them you never see on TV. You don't know who they are. But they are heavily into witchcraft. Okay? Heavily into devil worship. They literally worship the devil. So it's not only those people, however, it's plenty of people who worship the devil, who worship other gods, okay? And I've heard for many years about sacrifices being made to the devil. This is something that is very prevalent around America and around the world. So I'm going to go on. So in verse 10 says, "Weep not, do not weep for the dead, neither bemoan him, but weep sore for him that goes away, for he shall return no more, nor see his native country." So maybe I shouldn't have read that one, actually. But who knows? But it's a scripture that I have written down that the Lord has made stand out to me. So we don't know what's going to happen in terms of God's judgment, because when I think of some of the disasters that have taken place in the U.S., like Hurricane Katrina happened to Louisiana in like 2005, a lot of people had to leave their hometowns and go somewhere else. They had to move to a completely different state, different cities, and things like that. So that might be what that pertains to. Who knows? The people who are going to have to leave America, who'll be forced out or what have you. So let me go on. I mean, there are a lot of people who want to leave America, but I'm talking about in terms of God's judgment coming down and certain people being punished that way. Okay, so please pay attention to this coming verse here and the next few verses, because this definitely describes America, and the Lord has spoken the scripture to me time and time again, and I can feel his anger. He is so hurt and outraged. He really is unhappy. So this is still Jeremiah 22, verse 13. Woe unto him that builds his house by unrighteousness, and his chambers, which means upper chambers, by wrong, and that means injustice. So woe to him, woe unto him that builds his house by unrighteousness, and his upper chambers by injustice, that uses his neighbor's service without wages, and does not give him anything for his work. God is opposed to slavery. The Bible talks about slavery, but it's a different kind of slavery. It was not when people were being dragged and whipped and chained and things like that. This, in the Bible, when you read the Old Testament, it talks about it's more being like sharecropping, for example, where you work for someone for a certain number of years, the way sharecropping is supposed to go. And the Bible even talks about that it talks about the end of the slave's term, to let him go and to send him away with the things that he needs and stuff like that. Okay? So God is saying, woe to you, you build your house. Now, remember, it's not necessarily just a house that you build and you walk inside, you have a front porch. You know that you'll have the house of so-and-so. Sometimes you'll find the fashion houses will be the house of this or the house of that. Or you think about the Rockefellers. They built their house. Their house was their legacy. Okay, and there are other families like that whose names, the Kennedys, they have a house. Okay, so God is saying, woe unto him that builds his legacy, his fortunes, his inheritance, everything, his reputation, all that he has. He uses people and makes them work for them and doesn't pay them. He enslaves them, or he may cheat them. How many times do we hear about that? Business people cheating people. Okay? America has been doing that. America has a long legacy of enslavement here in this nation, enslaving people in this country. Even now, people are working and working full time, sometimes working 2 jobs and still can't make ends meet. That is unrighteousness. All these companies, all these politicians who allow them to do it. Verse 17 says, but your eyes and your heart are not for anything but for your covetousness, and for to shed innocent blood, and for oppression, and for violence to do it. I don't need to explain that. This is Jeremiah chapter 22. That last scripture was verse 17. I'll say it again. But your eyes and your heart are not but for your covetousness, and for to shed innocent blood, and for oppression, and for violence to do it. What do we see here in America? So much violence by the people who are supposed to protect people, murdering people in cold blood. Whenever you have a leader that stands up for justice, they get murdered. Innocent people get killed in factories. Why? Because the factory owners, the corporations don't follow proper safety procedures. They know these working conditions may be unsafe, but they don't care. They know that they might be spewing chemicals into the air that is killing people or making them very sick, sick to death in the area around the factory. These poor innocent people are suffering. Do they fix it? Do they stop engaging in hazardous business practices? No, they don't. Their heart is only for covetousness. They want money. They want power. They shed innocent blood. They take bribes. They kill people who speak out. If you get in their way, they just kill people. Hey, they want that house. They kill people to get them out of there. So, verse 21, this again, America, I spoke to you. This is God speaking. I spoke to you in your prosperity, but you said, I will not hear. This has been your manner from your youth, that you do not obey my voice. America, in its prosperity, God has spoken and said, turn from your ways, your wicked ways. But as the scripture says, but you said, I will not hear. And God says, this has been your manner from your youth, that you do not obey my voice. And that is true. How long has this country been engaging in wickedness from its inception? By starving people, walking them to death in the cold and starvation, slaughtering people, and then lying about the story, blaming the natives of this nation, calling them Indian givers. They never gave you this land. You stayed with them and acted like their friends, and you murdered them. This is how this nation started. And going on into the enslavement of Africans for hundreds of years. And then after that, the Jim Crow laws that kept people still in enslavement. And I can go on, and this applies to everyone. How about child labor? Look up child labor in America. For those of you who may not be aware, America used to have children working in dangerous conditions and working for 12, 16 hours a day. And children would get limbs cut off in the machines. They were barefoot. They had to work long hours. They were beaten. Okay, if they made a mistake or for whatever the reason, they were dirty and way underpaid. This is America. And so America maybe is not employing children right now, at least not in the open. We don't know what's going on in secret here, because actually we have a child sex slavery going on in America, where children are being sexually tortured and abused for money, for pleasure in this country, in America. America uses children overseas to manufacture products. These are American companies that do this. And it's okay with the people who are the quote unquote leaders, because they're not leaders. This is America. And then when we, as the people who don't run things, when we find out about this thing, we continue to buy their products. Americans are guilty as well. Half the things that we have, we don't even need. We could have stopped this a long time ago and insisted, this land of the free, where people say we have free speech and we're free, we should have insisted that this behavior stop a long time ago. This earth, I know, is never going to be perfect. I know that. But we could have at least tried. We could have at least stood up for righteousness, stood up for those who are poor and the hurting. We could have done that. Jeremiah, still 22, chapter 22. Oh wait, I think before, did I say 22? I think I'm sorry. The other scriptures I read were from Jeremiah 21. I think I mistakenly said 22 at some point. Now, this is Jeremiah 22, verse 3. Thus saith the Lord. Sorry for the background noise. Thus saith the Lord, execute judgment, which means dispense justice. So dispense justice and righteousness, and delivered the spoiled, which means the plundered, out of the hand of the oppressor, and do no wrong. Do no violence to the foreigner, the fatherless, nor the widow, neither shed innocent blood in this place. Need I say more? This is why judgment is upon America. And also, if you see one of the other videos I made, it's is it Jeremiah or Isaiah? I don't remember, but chapter 51, 50 and 51. This is the judgment. If people in America literally humble themselves to God, truly humble themselves, and truly turned away from sin, not, oh, today I'm going to turn away from, I say I'm going to do it, I might do something nice tomorrow. I mean, turn away from wickedness and we walked in righteousness, God would turn back his judgment. He would, if this nation did it. If this nation did that, God would turn back this judgment. He would. But he's not going to turn it back. He's already said that. Why? Because this nation is so far gone. People are determined not to do the right thing. It's not going to do it. It is going to take an emergency, a national disaster to make Americans stop. Even just to stop what they're doing. Anyhow, I didn't want this to be long. I wanted you all to just hear this scripture. I have been feeling kind of convicted lately because I had not spoken these things to you all. And it needs to be spoken. This is what God says. I didn't make it up. I don't want to go through a disaster, but I'm not going to argue with God. I feel blessed that he explained it. He's shown me, not just me, but others. This nation is wicked. This nation is wicked. And God is righteous. He's a righteous God and he's a God of justice. And it's time to stop. These things have to stop. They have to stop today. I'm not saying today, but today has to stop at some point. So listen, talk to you later. Look up these scriptures for yourself in the Bible, okay? Talk to you soon again. All right, bye-bye.